And I've actually made a broadcast to this effect or on this title. The title of my broadcast is We Are Centralized, We Are Private, We Are Debt Free, and We Are Building in Love. We've made this broadcast. I have made this broadcast before. And then, fortunately for me, it was featured on our public blog. And in the course of this meeting or broadcast, I would also make reference to it briefly. Now, there is something that the movie industry does. That's Hollywood, precisely. Now, Hollywood makes sure that there are some kind of films that they keep repeating and upgrading. There is a purpose they do that. I'm going to cite some major instances. For instance, Marvel comic. When you talk about Marvel comic, there are some characters there that we have known from when we were children, and some of those characters were as cartoons. Captain America and Batman, Superman, and all that. And over time, they have built it into a film kind of thing, no more on a cartoon, so that people will now start seeing those guys as Superman or Superman, and then Wonder Woman and all those people. There is a purpose they do those things to keep those memories alive in the minds of those that are watching it, their viewers. Now, the ultimate goal of these things is transhumanism. They want humanity to feel comfortable with the concept called transhumanism, where you are a human being and you are upgraded to humanity 2.0. Now, let's cite another instance, Terminator. Terminator that was acted by Arnold Schwarzenegger. If we can recall, Terminator that was acted by Arnold Schwarzenegger was much long ago. It was long ago while I was still a child. And still, they have repeated that cycle in different forms. But the bottom line is that they are putting the concept of humanity 2.0 in your mind, transhumanism. Let's get to another one, Robocop. Same thing applies. From childhood, they followed the concept in Robocop. Another one is Superman, still the same thing. Spider-Man, still the same thing. Name many of these characters, they have managed to keep it afresh in the hearts of people so that people will think it is all normal. And then when technology gets to a certain point, they will begin to indoctrinate them and then fuse them to become humanity 2.0. The whole idea is transhumanism. Now, in our Kringle Private Society, I am actually keeping us informed. That's what I'm doing because it's a very good thing for us to have a proper understanding of how we are structured. And if we don't have that understanding, there is every tendency that we may go hula, we may actually get it twisted. That's why broadcasters are there to keep people abreast with how the system operates. And I'm fortunate, I'm really fortunate by the administration of the Kringle Society to be present in my broadcast at times. And then at times he sees the broadcast as reasonable and then features it on the blog. Now that's because I am well informed and it is an open opportunity for everyone. It's not as if there is any form of favor over, that is, he's favoring one person over the other. The system is such that if you are intelligent about it and you give out reasonable broadcast that is good for people to listen to and learn from, of course, the administration will put your videos on the public blog, sorry, on the private blog, as the case may be, which is in our Kringle Cash back office. So I'm going to review what was said in the update, but then in an upgraded format so that people will understand how our system operates. And after you understand it, I believe we are going to take necessary corrections if we've been getting it wrong. I wouldn't say much. I'm going to just give this 5 minutes talk, and then the rest of it is going to be videos. And then intermittently in the videos, I'll be making some comments. And I believe that I'll finish this video within the shortest possible time. So if you're listening to me now and you haven't yet subscribed, I would appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel and give a thumbs up, which is social proof. All right, so that said, let me share my screen and go into the main topic of today. So do bear with me as I do that. Okay. All right, screen being shared. So we're going to watch this video
2008
together.
was the biggest financial crime in history, and they got away with it. On my podcast, Under the Skin, available from Luminary, link in the description, I talked to the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort himself. Woo! That guy says that nothing he did compares to the travesties that took place in 2008, and that's from a man who knows. It's fascinating to listen to Jordan Belfort talking about crime, criminality, financial corruption, because he truly understands it, and he's a great communicator. When you listen to the Wolf of Wall Street talking about the other pack of wolves among whom he operated, or even the higher carnivores that operate on Wall Street and the surrounding financial ancillary industries elsewhere, you realize that the financial industry is defined by corruption. It's kind of a game. It's a matter.
Did you hear what he said? The financial industry is defined by corruption. In our TBC community, our system is defined by principles. Our system is defined by principles, abundance based on principles. And when there is abundance for all, and everyone has more than enough to keep themselves moving, I don't think the idea of corruption will continue to thrive. The reason why there is corruption is because everyone thinks it's never enough. Because the whole system is centralized, controlled by a few sets of people, which we already know are the committees of 300. As we are decentralizing power to the people. Listen, I said we are decentralizing power to the people. I didn't say that our technology is decentralized. I said we are decentralizing power from the committee of 300 people that run the world to humanity, which is going to be made up of 111,111. That's exactly what we are going to do. And these people will comprise from every nooks and crannies countries, which we are going to look into shortly. Just pay attention to this, and then we'll move into other things.
He returned to again and again. Remember, 2008 was an event that led to a resurgence of nationalism, a breakdown in trust in politics, endemic poverty, and was held together by the disingenuous relationship by the state and the financial industry, aka quantitative easing. If you find that kind of language a little uneasy, then you're a little bit like me. Watch this to understand a little bit better what went down in 2008 and just how deep that criminality runs.
Eve to me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe where you can do.
When I first got out of jail and was dealing with my comeback and coming to terms with what had happened, I felt it's not guilt, it's more like remorse. I think is a much healthier emotion. Is the active form of like just going out there and doing good works, right? I just want you to think I'm minimizing or anyone listening, because I'm not. Like it's more complex. You could say, yeah, what I did was wrong, but on the degree of wrong compared to 2008, forget about it. I was a saint compared. I didn't bankrupt Iceland and Greece and bring the entire world financial system to its knees and then ask the taxpayers to bail me out and kept my job. And I think that's why, for the most part, I think I'm pretty well loved by most people in the world that understand. Like I have so many fans, so they get that. They realize that the people that really did stuff never went to jail, never paid for their crimes, and they're still in power, right? And that doesn't bother me. I think it's just a fact that most rational people know at this point. That, you look at the end of the movie The Big Short, which I loved, and there's this like false ending. And then all the bad guys, they all went to jail. Just kidding. No one went to jail. And there's one poor schnook who did nothing that served as the fall guy that did a year and he barely was a low level guy. And everybody else got off, right? And people, we laugh, but inside we know it's not right. And it bothers people. Now you see all these things pop up as a result. Well, it started with Occupy Wall Street, which was kind of didn't really go anywhere. But then you see even the Trump revolution, what happened with Trump and this sort of movement towards sort of, the individualized states versus the world, this globalism versus, nation states being individual, right? So a huge struggle on that level. I think a lot of it comes from the seething anger, things like Bitcoin, decentralized finance. There's like this need for people, like people know there's something rotten at the core. So they're yearning for something else, an alternative.
Did you hear what they said? That the system is rotten at the core. The foundation of the system is not in favor of the rest of humanity. And I still do not understand why people still go along with these systems. I still don't understand. People are craving for alternatives. The coin market cap is bleeding at the moment. And even though it rises and falls, is it sustainable? Can a merchant hold on to Bitcoin and believe that tomorrow it will remain at that same value? I want us to understand that we are trying to give freedom to humanity, and we have set up a proper structure which is going to return back the power to the people. And I want us to pay good attention and follow us, because we are definitely going to succeed. Now, the question is, we don't know if you are going to be in that picture when we have succeeded. For myself, I have made up my mind that yes, I will be in the picture. I don't know about you. Let's keep listening.
But the system will always try to protect itself as much as it can, and and change is never quickly. It's when it happens at the end, it's hard and fast. But there's these years and years and years of this sort of slow slogging towards an idea while it gathers momentum. When it finally reaches its pinnacle, it can happen in an instant. But the point to get to that can be very long and drawn out sometimes. So I think that right now, yes, I think that there's people every day doing far worse than I ever did. And by a long shot, it doesn't make what I did right. It's just an interesting point to note that, why is justice seemingly not meted out fairly? Why do bad people get away with doing things and never seem to pay the price for that? What is that about? And is it about just people in power giving their friends a pass? I think it's more complex than that. I really do. I think it's really gets down to very basic things like the cops are always outwitted to some extent by the criminals. Like you get to a certain point, like it's like cops. Here's another analogy. I love my analogies, right? Is that policemen can be wrong 1,000 times. They have to be right once. I don't know if all the people are going to get away with it in the end. You still might see people paying. The wheels of justice grind slow. Like right now in the world of crypto, there's just massive fraud every day.
Did you hear what they said? In the world of crypto, there is massive fraud every day. Now, that crypto has to do with the coin market cap. I want us to pay good attention to every information that this guy is giving out, because these informations are really, really very helpful and necessary for us to make the proper choices.
On unprecedented level. Like I can't believe this is happening. Like every day, this massive manipulation, pump and dump schemes to make my stuff look like it was child's play every day, and yet nothing seems to be happening. But you never know, because there's as they say, the statute of limitations. Well, it's 5 years, so who knows what's going to happen.
With the former, where it's like, blue chip companies, Wall Street, revolving door between, Washington and Wall Street, that stuff seems like there's so much systemic investment, so much cultural and collateral wedded in those systems that even when something like 2008 happens, which to me as a layperson, it seemed like they kind of knew that it was going to happen and that the consequences would be so seismic that it would be impossible for the government not to bail them out because of the scale of it. And the fact that nobody was persecuted or prosecuted rather as a result of that suggests that that's a theory that somewhat holds water, right? Is that possible?
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, the government, I think they made the right decision at the time that, I think they didn't want you to stick your credit card in the ATM machine and nothing came out. And I think they were very close to that with AIG and Goldman Sachs and after Lehman crashed. There was this moment when it could have happened. And I think they did the right thing. That being said, there was no reason why the people that were behind, like I'll tell you who the most culpable people of all were, the rating agencies. They were the ones that allowed this to happen. They were supposed to be the bastion of integrity. Like, this is rated a certain thing. This is AAA. This is a piece of shit. The whole thing was facilitated by the rating agencies and their desire to earn fees and to take something that was truly a piece of shit and stamp it AAA. And that's what allowed everything else to happen. Without that one piece of the puzzle, it could have never happened. Now, you could say the same thing without the bankers to create the proxy, but I'll tell you, those rating agencies, like, they're supposed to be, like, the whole purpose of a rating, like, okay, Wall Street firms, they broke the law and screwed people. Like, well, what kind of surprise is that? That's what Wall Street firms do. Isn't that what they're supposed to do? Like, no one's, I think, shocked to find out that Goldman Sachs was like going wild. That's Goldman Sachs. But the rating agencies, well, isn't their whole sole focus to be like the empirical arbiters of good and bad, and with sophisticated, not a lettering A, AAA, minus, and like with this formula? No, they were completely on the take. All right, and they, no matter how bad something was, it could have been the biggest piece of shit in the world, and they'd say, oh, well, it's 100 pieces of shit wrapped together equals greatness. No, 100 pieces of shit together is a giant lump of shit, right? And that's really what happened. They stamped those lumps of shit AAA, and then the brokerage firms, the bankers, wrapped those up into these instruments. And then, people that couldn't really afford to buy homes and knew they could never pay them back said, well, why shouldn't I take the home? Why not? You're right. Why wouldn't you take the home, right? And the mortgage brokers showed them how to lie in their applications. The underwriters were told to look the other way because they were making money. And then who got fucked? Iceland, Greece. Yeah, they sold this shit around the world and literally destroyed. I was in Iceland speaking right after this happened. I got to tell you, it was an ugly thing. It was really, really bad. There was real consequences to that, to countries that still have not recovered to this very day.
Yeah, the impact of it financially, culturally, and as you said at the beginning, Jordan, even politically, are still being felt. That it has created isolationism, sort of like nationalism, suspicion, and cynicism. And in a sense, quite rightly, but like, I once listened to Steve Bannon talk at Oxford, or just on the internet, I didn't go. And he was, when he was describing that quantitative easing process and the banker bailout, and that this is happening under Obama, that the whole idea that these are this is the persuasion politically that are meant to be for the population and for ordinary people, and to show and demonstrate the degree to which they're in bed with big business corporations and financial world. In a sense, what that does is it, as you say, it makes ordinary people recognize you cannot trust that world. You cannot cut them off. You can't have any trust in them. Now, like, it seems to me that you were a person that was able to enter into that world, and at your own level to an extraordinary degree, looking at the amount of excess and wealth and opportunity and power that you created from scratch. Really, really incredible. And by your own acknowledgement, without minimizing what you did and not seeking in any way to, you've been really clear about that. But it's nothing compared to what's institutionalized. Nothing. It's just sort of irrelevant. And what could ever, I was just wondering for a moment there, what would have happened? I understand what you're saying, go to the ATM and no cash would come out. If AIG was allowed to fold and Goldman Sachs, if all those things crash, it's a sort of de facto revolution, right? It's the system would have collapsed. Is that right?
I think it would have been very similar to what happened in the 30s. I think there would have been a massive depression, economic contraction, huge unemployment. And I think then the U.S. would have recovered. I don't think it would be the end of the world as we know it, because I think that, the Constitution, is flawed as it can be, is still pretty strong here. And I think there's still an underlying belief that, the U.S. has this citizens feel like it's almost this destiny to be the greatest country in the world. It's taught to us now, not so much in schools. When I was in school, that we're the greatest country in the world. And I think it would have come back and bounced back, but there would have been massive amount of pain along the way. Now, I think what's really happened, though, is that pain has simply been deferred. It's been transferred onto our children and our grandchildren because, there's this sort of entity, this gigantic octopus that sits on top of the economy. It's not Goldman Sachs, it's the Federal Reserve that literally has the ability to print as much money as they want, and they basically debase the financial system's fiat currency, and they printed trillions upon trillions of dollars. They call it quantitative easing, so they put fancy labels on it to show there's some science and mathematics behind it. It's a good thing, but they kicked the can down the road. They've been kicking the can down the road since 1987, since the stock market crashed in 87, and then they've really been kicking the can down the road since George Bush, the older one, got on the TV set in 2001 after September 11, said, if you don't keep shopping, the terrorists win. And there's just this effort to keep things going. When the dot-com bubble crashed, the terrorists attacked and brought down the towers. People were scared to go out and shop. And yet somehow, how did we end up going right back up again? No matter what happens, the government is fake. And this is, either my hat's off to them or they're the biggest criminals and it's going to all come crashing down. And the jury's still out. I think ultimately there's going to be hell to pay, but they've managed to keep kicking the can down the road to interrupt the normal cycles of boom and bust that have been characterizing capitalist economies since way back when. Since, right, I saw a doc recently back in Rome. It happened literally that far back when they started debasing the currency, and it just never ends well. You saw it in exaggerated forms in Nazi Germany or pre-Nazi Germany in the 1920s that led to Nazi Germany. You saw it happen in places like Zimbabwe, where they have $1 trillion notes that you can't buy a loaf of bread with, right? That's typically what happens when you just print amazing amounts of money. The dollar has this weird ability, because it's a reserve currency for the world, that we get away with shit that no one else can get away with. And also, no one really knows, because the Fed, who knows what's really going on at the Federal Reserve? So I think there's going to be, at some point in time, massive hell to pay, like with this budget deficit. Like, what's that about? Like, you're just going to run this deficit, it's going to grow and grow and grow until it's literally going to be bigger than any metric you can think of. There's no way to get rid of it, unless, of course, Satoshi Nakamoto was actually the U.S. government. It's all a long game. They own all the Bitcoin, actually. And who knows what's really going on? Nothing would shock me at this point. You know what I'm saying? But, they've been kicking the can down the road since 2001 in a big way. And at some point, something's got to give.
So it's ultimately an artificially sustained system. So when there's that kind of pragmatic...
Listen to this.
So it's ultimately an artificially sustained system. So when there's that kind of
One more time.
So it's ultimately an artificially sustained system.
Did you hear that? It's an artificially sustained system. Listen to what he's saying and listen to the feedback. Now, this will now introduce the Kringle Private Society. Humanity will embrace us when their eyes are open to these truths. We are giving the truths. Listen.
So when there's that kind of pragmatic discourse around free market capitalism, it's the best of all possible alternatives. No other system will work. You can't decentralize finance. You can't have people trading. You can't have alternative financial systems. What's being held up as the kind of great monolith and the sort of to which there is no real alternative is a kind of illusion that's held in place by, as you used the phrase earlier, sort of various forms of smoke and mirrors and sort of skullduggery, really. It's sooner or later, the reality will have to be addressed, right? Phrase earlier, sort of various forms of smoke and mirrors and sort of skullduggery, really. It's sooner or later, the reality will have to... Skullduggery, really. It's sooner or later, the reality will...
I'm actually trying to play this thing again and again so that you hear what's going on. Sooner or later, the reality will play out. Now, what will be your fate when the reality plays out? When you've been conned all your life and you find out that you've been deceived for your time, for all your efforts and all that, what then will you say? Listen to this last statement that this guy will say. Then I introduce our private, centralized, self-sustaining, debt-free system. You will choose whether to fall alongside with the system that is actually going down or stand with us within our Kringle Private Society. We are going to change this world. I hope you learn and you act accordingly.
Will have to be addressed, right?
I don't think that's true, though. See, I don't think that this centralized system is the only way. And
I hope you enjoyed that.
Did you hear that? Let's play it again.
This centralized system is the only way.
Did you hear what he said? He doesn't think that this centralized system is the only way. We are giving you an alternative. And our alternative has been tested and trusted. And we know that it is going to accommodate the whole of humanity. It will not support greed. It will only support love and abundance for all. Everybody will have enough for themselves, and there will still be excess to accommodate for the next generations to come. The only thing is that we will not agree with this present system. We are doing away with it. We are creating our own system. We are going our own way under a private jurisdiction. So let's introduce now the Kringle Private Society.
I hope you enjoyed that video.
All right, this is just the rest. Now, I wouldn't need to bother on that. Now, let's move in to our main content today, which is, before I move into our main content, I'll move into our Kringle Cash back office. Let's quickly go there. Now, I hope we are learning a lot, because my responsibility as a broadcaster is educating the Kringle Private Society.
Welcome to your dashboard inside of the Kringle Cashback office. I have so many exciting things to show you, I hardly know where to begin. Perhaps you can guide me in what interests you most by selecting one of these categories.
Before I go into this, because I'll need to talk about this, we need to understand the clear difference between the public domain and the private domain. The public domain is a centralized controlled system. Permit me to go into the Kringle Cash, and then in our Kringle Cash, I want us to look into this particular statement. We are doing something similar to what they are doing, but ours is different. Now, I will read only this particular place, and then after that, you listen to what that lady has to say. Now, we are currently in the distribution phase of rolling out a full-blown mature TBC Kringle global economy. The level of liquidity of Kringle coins depends on how widespread merchants around the world accept Kringles as a medium of exchange for goods and services. Now, this particular statement automatically cuts off the banking system. We don't want to work with the banking system. They've conned us enough. We are building our own system, and we are working peer-to-peer, and we are interacting directly with the merchants. And as we build into our membership of 1 billion, we are going to cover the whole supply chain: manufacturer, major distributor, wholesaler, retailers, and consumers. When we have achieved that particular goal, we have fulfilled our purpose, TBC will then become accepted at 100%. Now, and we believe Kringles will become very liquid once we reach our objective of 1 billion members. And now I'm going to also talk about our structure very briefly. Now, I wouldn't want to bother much of our 1 billion. Our concerns are the anchors, which are going to be the core team. And it is our core team that makes us who we are. All right. So we are the ones who provide the fundings. That's what we mean. It's a lifetime commitment. Now, when we launched TBC, the admin wallet had 1 billion TBC coins in it. And Kringle Rewards was set up as the mechanism to move all of those TBC coins out of the admin wallet into the wallet of about 1 billion active members. 1 billion active members. 1 billion active members. Those 1 billion active members are going to be those that will anchor the economy. I want you to hear it. The system didn't say active members, but I am telling you, it will be 1 billion active members. Yeah, we could have much more than 1 billion, okay? But the rest of them will have what you call free gifts. If you are going to be in the TBC community as active members, you must fall under the category of being a billionaire or a millionaire. We will have 1,111,111 billionaires and 1,110 millionaires. That's what we'll have. It sums up our economy. The rest that gets the free gifts, they can then spend it on their own, which are not, we don't see these people as people that make up the active members of our TBC community. So listen, we are still in the distribution phase. A whole lot of permutation and combination will suffice as we build our membership. Now, the movements of these coins are not done as a transaction. Members do not purchase these coins from admin. These coins are rewards for completing beneficial tasks, which help us reach our objective of gathering 1 billion members. One way, listen to this, one way to look at this, to understand it, would be to think of the admin wallet as a central bank. So we are kind of repeating what the system is, but ours is on the principle of abundance, equity, abundance and equity, abundance and equity. Now, and the wallet of the 1 billion members, as local retail banks and central banks stock up all of the other banks with enough currency to maintain an economy. So someone will ask, so why do I pay my subscription fee every month? It's because you are helping to build a self-sustaining system. That money you pay is to help the programmers and the IT guys to keep the system sustainable long term. And if you do not do that, then we wouldn't have the finance to keep it running. And in reward for helping to keep the system sustainable, we stock you up with enough currency to keep the system sustainable long term. That's all. It is not done uh, out of force. It is done out of trust and will to change the world. So if you do not want to do it, that's fine. But if you are deciding to step up and help to build the community, you must show yourself accountable and responsible. Now, on that ground, I want us to just listen to this. We have talked about the elite system. I'm going to pay attention to the TBC wallet. After I have concluded on the TBC wallet, then we move into our Bitcoin bounty. Now, the Bitcoin bounty section is live, is on again. So we're going to listen to this and then look into that. Look into it very quickly, and then that will be all for today. So pay attention, please. Let me refresh the page again.
Welcome to your dashboard inside of the Kringle Cashback office. I have so many exciting things to show you, I hardly know where to begin. Perhaps you can guide me in what interests you most by selecting one of these categories.
All right, now you can explore it. There are some points I want to drive at while I'm playing out this. That's why I want to play with the TBC wallet, because TBC wallet is what the whole world will start using very soon. There are so many things this lady will talk about, and as she's saying it, I'll be interjecting, I'll be making some contributions.
Let's talk about the TBC wallet. The TBC wallet you see today is not the same technology we used to start TBC on March 21st, 2016, and it won't be the last. Unlike
Did you hear that? It's not the first, it won't be the last. We will soon move into a new system, a new blockchain. As soon as the billionaire sections are filled out, to seal the numbers of the billionaires, 1,111,111, we will need a migration. That migration automatically seals them. And once they have become billionaires, it becomes 1,000 times difficult to be able to get one whole TBC. So keep listening. As she's saying things, I'll be making interjections.
the approach most cryptocurrencies take, if you build the tech, the people will come. We put people first. The original tech only cost hundreds of dollars to build because it was a clone. Yes, it was a cheap clone, and later it blew up in our faces. But that's the past. From day one, we have dedicated most of our resources to building a community first. We view tech the same way we view clothing. When the tech becomes outdated in one way or another, we more or less take it off and rewrap the community into something better.
Did you hear what she said? So the technology we are seeing today will only get better as our numbers continue to grow. It continues to grow, and the technology will be sufficient to accommodate the numbers of people that are in our community.
This approach gives us a lot of freedom and flexibility, but you must be extra responsible or we may leave you behind. We strongly believe we will develop the technology to be able to do 1 billion transactions per second with immediate confirmation on both ends of the transaction.
This is exactly where we are going to, and it will take some time for us to get there. And if you are not extra responsible, we may leave you behind. Keep listening, because the whole purpose of this particular broadcast is to educate those who are living in assumption or willful ignorance.
So stay close and updated when the time comes to move to the next technology when it comes. Migrations have become necessary in the past and likely needed in the future. Because of the way we do things, we're in category of our own. There's nothing like TBC anywhere. Copycat coins of TBC are always very bad copies, so don't get fooled if you come across one that says they're just like TBC. Nothing beats the original. We hold our people to the highest standard. We expect everyone in the community to be lawful, loving, and full of respect for others. If you come across someone that isn't, you can report them and we will investigate. We will always have a department that handles this.
Now, to be clear, the department that handled this is under the jurisdiction of the commissioner. Over time, that department of commissioner will expand, and time shall explain that to us. Let's continue listening.
TBC coins are not a joke. We are very serious about their value. We are at peace with all countries, and we want to keep it that way. Policies of how our currency is used take into account standards the world embraces as good. We may be self-regulated, but we don't want the world to see us as a dangerous currency. $10,000 transactions are considered to be a significant amount of money in our world today. Inflation may bump the number up over time, but we have taken that amount into consideration. TBC is not used in speculation because chaos is a large part of speculation.
Now, take note of this. TBC is not used in speculation because chaos is a large part of speculation. Now, that's one of the things that will not allow Bitcoin to become the savior of the financial world. Bitcoin, to a good extent, is subject to manipulation and a huge level of speculation. You can move Bitcoin from this place to another as much as $1 billion. And being a decentralized currency, it does not have a central control. Let me also make you to understand that every system that will be able to stand long term should have a central controlled system. Now, the reason why the elite system has stayed so long and has survived is because they have a central controlled system. The difference between their system and ours is also central controlled, but based on a principle called abundance, not scarcity. So there is every need for people to be responsible, because you can't use our currencies to fund ungodly ventures, which this lady is going to explain now. So pay attention.
We have embedded centralized controls in alignment with how we value TBC. It's not the technology we value the living men, women, and children that become members of our TBC community and agree to value by accepting the TBC membership agreement when they join the TBC community. This membership agreement was put into place before even one TBC coin moved out of the admin wallet into another member's TBC wallet. How we value TBC coins has remained the same until now and will always remain the same. You and no other member has any authority over changing this consistent way of valuing our TBC currency. We are not compatible with market-based cryptocurrencies because they are driven by speculation and turn into chaos. This is why merchants find it difficult to hold these other market-based cryptocurrencies. Within our centralized controls is the technology.
Within our centralized controls, within our centralized control is the technology to turn off a send button. People still say TBC is decentralized. Now, if TBC is decentralized, where does the admin play? TBC is decentralized. Then what gives authority to the admin to do what he does? The administration is ensuring that the system will be well modeled in a way that it will put the whole of humanity, to be able to accommodate the whole of humanity. Now, over time, the system will metamorphose into a group of 111,111 administrators. The system of the TBC community is a tripod kind of system. Now, the tripod I am referring to here are the administrative team, which is number one. Now, I'm talking of from the economic point of view, when we are in the economic level. The administrative team, which will comprise of 111,111. One, secondly, there will be a commissioner department. That commissioner department is going to be watching and understanding day-to-day activities of individuals, especially large transactions from 10,000 and above. Those are what the commissioner department. In our place, which is from Africa, Nigeria precisely, we call them the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Department. But in this place, we call it the commissioner. Now, the third part of it is the IT department, the technology side of it, the technology team that keeps evolving our technology to make sure that the blockchain we will have will be able to enable us as 1 billion members to do transactions per time without overpopulating or without being an overburden to the technology that we'll be using as at then. So these are the three: administrative team, number one, the commissioner, number two, and the technical team, number three. It is under this controlled system that you have several other committees. And the committees will be comprising of the same 111,111 divided by 7. Whichever those numbers are will be the committees. Those committees will comprise of the chairman, the secretary, the treasurer, and then other members, which are going to be made up of 4, which will sum up to 7. These things will be made available to us. The knowledge of these things will be made available to us shortly. So let's pay attention.
To turn off a send button. Also, we have technology to set levels of daily spending limits. These controls are embedded within the wallets used by the members. A TBC department, such as the commissioner, has the ability to turn off any member's send button if they are caught violating this membership agreement. If you spend more than roughly $1,000 in a single day without first proving to the commissioner or such internal departments that regulate TBC that the transaction is an exchange of equal value, your send button will be turned off. Members of TBC do not compete on the price of TBC coins with each other. Processes are in place to turn back on send buttons that have been turned off by the commissioner when it is clear that the member violating the membership agreement has agreed to honor the membership agreement and will reform their behavior. It's these kinds of checks and balances that prevent any member of TBC from disturbing the peace we have established with all countries stated within our public notice.
Now, I love what she just said. Now, anybody that does not want to be properly controlled, humanity doesn't like control, and humanity likes a system that it doesn't have organization. With some people, they don't like control. Now, if you are in TBC and you want to make this world a better place, you should be subject to authorities. You should be humble enough to submit yourself to the respective authorities in our private society. Remember, we're not under the government jurisdiction. The government has their system, we have our own system. So you want to be humble, you have to be humble enough. You want to be a billionaire, yeah, you can be a billionaire and the world will embrace you. But the only way to be a billionaire is to be a responsible billionaire. The world should see you. We are actually raising up righteous breeds of people. We want to make the world see that wealth can be well managed and it's not something that will promote ungodliness. So let's continue listening.
It's only through peace that we can expand the abundance TBC offers within the world at large and ultimately end poverty globally. Some members are not fit for our TBC community, and careful processes are in place to excommunicate them from our TBC community and end their stewardship over the coins once it's held in their possession.
Did you hear what she said? She said some members, those members that don't want to be under control, they just want to do what they like. Shortly, we are still evolving. In a short while, people's eyes will see that we are a very disciplined system. The system that the government offers, in my opinion, are laden with corruption. They feign a form of discipline, but in reality, they favor themselves. We are not ready to accommodate such kind of partialities. Let's keep listening.
Democratic processes for policy making are the norm today within our TBC community, and all members are encouraged to participate but are not obligated. If you care about policy making in TBC, then join the discussions of policy making and your voice will be heard. As we grow in number and influence, we will have much to consider as we interact with the world.
Did you hear what she said? As we grow in number and influence, because we are going to be the literally most powerful system that humanity has ever known. Yeah, read my lips. We are going to be the most powerful system that the world has ever known. It may look so difficult to comprehend at this point, but watch and allow time to speak for us.
Economies are complex, and much care and thought must be put into every part of the economy we put together.
Did you hear that? Economies are complex, meaning that we will build several committees. These things has already been put there by the administration, but people do not read in between the lines. Keep listening.
You can purchase large ticket items such as homes, cars, businesses, or whatever, as long as it's done in the right way to ensure peace for all. TBC coins cannot be used for terrorism or any other illegal activity.
This is where we'll end wars. This is why we'll end wars. This is why we'll end prostitution. This is why we'll end drugs. Keep listening.
Because these things also disturb the peace. All TBC disputes must be handled internally within TBC community, and no member has the authority to speak to outside authorities with non-TBC jurisdictions regarding such disputes. Self-regulation means exactly that. We are self-regulated and have no need for outside authorities. Outside authorities have no power
Or
or
jurisdiction.
jurisdiction over TVC. We are lawful and we expect all outside authorities to be lawful in return. This maintains the peace, our highest desire. Where would you like to go from here? Shall we continue
All right. I
our
think
standard tour?
I think this lady has done a good job to explain this, and I believe in between I made some reasonable contributions. So let's get ourselves well informed so that we don't give the wrong information out there. Now we have actually gotten back our Bitcoin bounty. Our Bitcoin bounty is up and it's running. So congratulations to us. Now total bounty due in crypto, zero. I said this in my previous videos. Total bounty due, grains, zero. Now, I also made mention of it in my video. Now, that particular video I'm referring to is, I think, yes, I think it was this particular one. Yeah, this particular video, this particular one. That's BCH grains and then Kringle coins, how this will impact our economy. Yeah, you can actually do well to watch through this video. There are so much information I'm giving out, and I really do not know how many people are sharing these informations. I hope we are sharing this information. All right, so now as you see, the when someone pays in grains, I get it in grains. When he pays in crypto, I get it in crypto. And so far so good, no one has made payments yet. But in a short while, people will start making payments. So when this thing starts populating, bounty due in crypto, you'll see it. Bounty due in grains, you'll see it. So whichever one you want to pay with, you can make payments. You don't have enough bounty to make a redemption. Redeem bounty for grains. You can actually redeem bounty for grains and then your rotator fundings. So I think you can actually, I don't know, but then let me first of all have some numbers here to know. I think you can also make payments in cryptocurrencies. You can make payments directly. I don't know yet, but let's see how it goes. Time shall tell. So we are moving forward. We are back to make TBC better again. All right, I think I've been able to say a whole lot. Now that reminds me, the last video I made was this one. This was in our old blog. We are centralized, we are private, we are debt-free, we are built in love. Now I'm making a review of it now. And I'll keep making necessary reviews as we keep building our membership into 1 billion active members. All right, I'll stop here. So thank you very much for your time, to have taken time to listen to my broadcast. I'm very, very grateful. So 48 minutes. Wow. Wow, time has gone. Thanks, bro. I strongly support you. And again, I thank you for being a regular broadcaster in the TBC community. Keep it up. Yeah, I really appreciate that. So, till I come your way again, cheers. And God bless you. Sorry for the delay. I didn't intend that. All right, bye for now.